strongest that is caffeine. Most definitely. So a lot of my videos on both my YouTube and my TikTok are short form, more like comedy and informational videos. And they're never like scripted, like I don't script my videos, but there's a point to the video, and I have 1 to 2 minutes to get that point across in a concise way. And then I broke my mirror adjuster when I tried to replace, well, I did replace my car door handle, but I busted the mechanism that adjusts my mirrors, so I gotta do it manually. I just gotta like push on the mirror with my finger like a weirdo. But this car's falling apart. Anyway, a lot of my videos in the last 2 years have been very like scripted, or not scripted, but just more or less I know what I'm gonna say when I'm making the video, or I'm reading a MAR admin or an order, or I'm focusing on the difference between the branches or whatever, like trying to get a punchline out of it. But that doesn't lend you all who may be interested, it doesn't lend you any insight into my life and who I am as a person. It doesn't really show my personality very well. So I figure I would just talk to you like a friend, you know, and kind of give you the rundown of what's going on with me. The one of the topics that I get asked about occasionally, I don't get asked a lot of questions, but occasionally people will ask about nutrition or fitness. Now, I'm not like a super fit guy. I'm not super jacked or anything like that. I think you guys are getting blinded by the sun right now. But I do have a kind of a roller coaster ride of a fitness journey, and definitely a weird relationship with nutrition that it's kind of come to a stabilizing point, I think. But I can kind of walk you guys through that and why I eat the way I do, and I don't stress too much about nutrients and calories and all that stuff. So when I first joined the military at age 18, if you can't tell, I'm a fairly skinny guy, and I was even skinnier. I joined the Marine Corps at 145 pounds. That's the weight I went to boot camp at. A year later, I was 160 pounds. So I discovered, I guess, for myself, weightlifting, but I didn't really focus on eating anything different. I like went and got all the supplements. You know how people starting off, especially guys starting off their fitness journey, they're like, well, I'll fix my diet later. Right now, I'm just gonna pound supplements and hope I can gain muscle. And that's kind of what I did. And I wasn't training smart, like in an effective way. I wasn't eating smart. I was just eating whatever I wanted because that's all I did. Like my whole childhood, teenage years, ate whatever I wanted, and I stayed relatively thin because my metabolism was like through the roof, right? So I kept doing that because it was working. I was staying thin and I was getting those newbie gains, that you get when you first start lifting. But then I plateaued. I hard plateaued. I gained so much muscle in just a few months, and then did not gain muscle for nearly 10 years, or didn't gain weight for nearly 10 years. I was getting frustrated, so I tried, getting the MyFitnessPal app and counting my calories, counting my protein, tracking every single thing that I ate, eating spoonfuls of peanut butter before bed so I could hit my target calorie goal for the day, just making myself miserable, eating to eat and eating to grow, not eating to satiate my stomach. So kind of developed just this weird relationship with food where I only saw food as fuel. I didn't see it as anything else. I didn't really enjoy food that much. It was just a means to an end, essentially. And it didn't really matter because I did that for a year or so and I didn't gain any weight. despite eating like 4,000 plus calories a day and only lifting, like no cardio, no HIIT, no high intensity anything. I was just doing weightlifting and eating 4,000 to 4,200 calories a day, not gaining any weight. Some of you are gonna hate on me in the comments for that, but we all have our own set points, and mine was very, very high basal metabolic rate at that point. This was my early to mid 20s. So as I get later into my 20s, I'm late 20s, I start slowly gaining weight. I'm getting smarter. At that point, I was getting smarter about training. So I was learning how to train my body and learning how my body responded to certain things. So I was getting smarter about my training and not really adjusting my nutrition. But at that point, I decided, like, you know what? I'm not going to track stuff. I don't feel like dealing with that. So I'm just going to eat intuitively and eat fairly, like, generally healthy foods. Green vegetables when I can, fruits. I'm going to eat, lean meats and protein and high fiber grains and stuff like that. So like I was focused on health, but I wasn't focused so like on the minutia of eating the exact amount of calories I needed to eat. I was like, I'm just going to eat when I'm hungry and see what happens. So I gained a little bit of weight, and where the big gain came from was when I finally decided that I'm going to follow a program that is designed by someone who knows better than me and my stupid brain. So I bought, for like $40, I bought a powerlifting program from Jeff Nippard. Not sure anyone's heard of that guy. He's only got 3 million subscribers, but I bought a program from him and I followed it. It was 10-week powerlifting. It's called Power Building. So they had a little bit of bodybuilding sprinkled in there, but for the most part, we were lifting just heavy ass weights for low reps a lot of the time, which was not anything I was used to. Everyone told me for the last 10 years prior to that, hey, lift 8 to 12 reps till you feel that burn and you'll gain muscle, and it just wasn't happening. So with this program, it was 10 weeks. And at the end of the program, I was the strongest I'd ever been on the 4 big lifts, the bench, deadlift, squat, and overhead press. Strongest I've ever been on any of them. But I also got on the scale and I was 181 pounds, which is the heaviest. I'd never broken 180. I had floated around the 170s for a couple years at that point, and I was like, I'm never gonna get 180. And I did, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is it. And the thing is, the beautiful part about it was I wasn't fluffy. It wasn't a fluffy 180. It was like I was still fairly cut at that point. And I was really happy with it. I was like, I'm going to do this program again. But the thing about me, guys, is that I will get bored. And not that these workouts were necessarily boring, but I had just done them for 10 weeks straight fairly consistently. Like, I might have skipped 1 or 2 days every now and then, but like, it was, for the most part, I was doing it every day. And he mixed it up. It wasn't like, all right, week 1 is the same as week 2, or week 2 is the same as week 1 with more weight. I was just getting bored with it. I don't know. I like to mix things up. So in the last, like, I'd say year, my focus has been on functionality and how can I function better as a human, you're just getting blasted by the sun and it's like reflecting it right into my face. But how can I function better as a Marine, like as a warrior, as a human, as a aging human, and how can I move better so that in 40 years, when I'm not as agile and as young as I am now, I will still be able to move and do the things that I love to do. So my focus has been on functionality, longevity, and mobility over the last year or so. So every day I try to do some sort of mobility movement. I still lift weights 2 or 3 times a week. I run 2 or 3 times a week. I do rucks. I do HIIT style workouts, circuit training, and all that stuff. I'm kind of all over the map right now with my training. But my nutrition, which is what I'm supposed to be focusing on in this, I guess you call it a vlog this amateur ass vlog I'm doing right now. My nutrition has I've just been riding the metabolism train for forever. I've just been taking advantage of my genetics and my fast metabolism to basically just eat whatever I want, and I stay relatively lean. And if I want to gain muscle, I just add some protein and I'm good. But what I noticed over the last like 6 months is I'm 33 now. I'm turning 34 in December. What I've noticed over the last 6 months is that I'm gaining weight, and I'm gaining not muscle weight. So for the first time in my life, I'm adding a significant enough amount of body fat that it's noticeable, that I'm noticing it when I look in the mirror. I'm noticing it when I look down. And that's not typical for me. And again, first world problems, skinny boy problems, whatever you want to call them, but it's just different, right? So, and we have to adapt. That's the thing that I've learned in my whole fitness and nutrition and training journey, is that you have to adapt, because your body changes, your stress levels change, your nutrition changes, your environment changes, and you have to adapt. So I think last week I started tracking my calories again in an attempt to just lose like 4 or 5 pounds over the next couple of weeks. Nothing crazy. I'm not trying to get drastic. I'm not trying to get paper thin skin and like super cut. I just want to lose a couple pounds so that I can feel lighter. I can feel less bloated and feel better. But I'm not going to track forever. I don't want that to become part of who I am, and I don't want it to become this thing that ruins my relationship with food. And I don't want it to be something that's super restrictive. So all I've really been trying to do is track so that I can kind of see where my new set point is. Because in my 30s, I'm not going to be able to eat as much as I did in my 20s. And in my 20s, I couldn't eat as much as I did in my teenage years. But our metabolism's slow and our bodies are different, and you've got to learn how to adjust to that. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just once a year, maybe once every couple of years, I'll take a month and I'll just track my macros, track my calories. I'll just spend $10 on a subscription to an app or whatever, and I'll do that to kind of try to figure out where I can sit intuitively, because I just want to intuitively eat the rest of the time, where I can sit intuitively for the rest of the year, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm halfway through week 2 of this 4-week tracking period, where I'm basically just mindfully eating and trying to figure out what foods are causing me to feel this way, or what foods cause me to feel lethargic, or what foods make me bloat up. But overall, trying to figure out, okay, where's my new maintenance calorie intake with my current activity level? What can I eat and still maintain my body weight or lose or gain? And that way I can kind of figure it out from here on out, and I don't have to track it anymore. I can just be like, oh, I just got to cut out this, and this, and I'll lose weight if I do that for a couple weeks. Or if I want to gain, I just got to add a couple of turkey burgers, and I'll be all right. So yeah, well, that's the magic and beauty of my nutrition plan. As you can tell, I'm an Adonis. I look like I was chiseled by a chiseler person. Sculptor, that's what they're called, sculptor. It's just an amazing specimen of a human over here. Yeah, so that's my advice. Adapt, learn how to listen to your body and listen to what it's screaming at you most of the time. You eat the donut and it screams at you. You just got to be able to listen,